It's good to see you guys. Excited about this game. A lot of respect for this program and this coach. The way he runs his program. Every year they're in the thick of it and competitive. And I talked to the team this morning about the last two times we played them was really kind of uncompetitive, and to get it to where we can compete and win this game is going to take everything we got. So it's a big challenge this week. We're excited about getting better. There's a lot of energy in practice today, so it was really good to see. And, to be at home is a positive too. And so we're trying to get some guys back healthy, and so that we can be as strong as possible going into this game. Take any questions you guys got.
Dave, your yards after catch by the receivers this year has been pretty good. I mean, was that something going into the season y'all saw you could take advantage of, and how pleased are you with that?
Yeah, very pleased. In the construction part of your roster, the strongest piece of the roster is that position group. Probably the most invested into a position group is that group. And it's good that when all of those two things are happening, on the other end of it, you get production, and you get, game-changing plays, and you get momentum, and you get points. And so it's really good to see. I think there's still more guys in there that can contribute, and so we're trying to open it up for them.
You mentioned getting guys healthy. Two updates. How is Bryson? What's his status? And then is Carl any closer?
Bryson was with us today going through all the things, and so, I was with him during stretch, and he goes, "Coach, they can't get me. They can't get me." I go, "Man, they're trying. They're trying." And so his style of running is so violent that he invites just the contacts, and there's one in the middle of the field, there's one on their sideline that was pretty violent, and he bounced right back, he got back in it, and so I think everyone sees that, everyone draws strength from that, because he's kind of our bell cow when he's out there doing those things. And then Carl was going through all the things too. I talked to him as well. He's trying to battle. It doesn't feel like it used to feel all the time, and so it feels a little bit different. He can still do the things. He's trying to get used to how it feels different now, and so we'll see.
What was your thoughts about Caden and Michael and kind of what they were able to do in the running back spot?
Yeah, there's positive stuff in there. There's times when Michael looks like B-Wash in a couple of the runs, the physicality and the downhill piece of it. Caden did better with hitting stuff downhill. I think he has an instinct to run sideways and to bounce stuff out. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's not so good. And so I think he did better with that. I think there's still a bunch of room for improvement there. But, I'm really proud of the offensive line. I thought they battled through. There was, at the end of the game and the closeout piece of it, they're just literally putting their bodies on people. And it's just kind of smashing faces. And they were able to move piles doing it that way. They had nothing left, But it was really cool to see. We've been trying to get that, and we got it. And now that we got it, we got to keep it.
You mentioned after the game the ability to finish was something you were proud of, the way y'all finished. Is that something you feel like y'all are able to build on?
We need to, yeah. I mean, that's something that we talk about quite a bit, and there is something too when you can hold the ball for 4 or 5 minutes and just continue to move the ball down the field, matriculate it that way, and control the clock, and then kind of enforce your will. There's a whole lot of things that go into that, because at that point everyone's tired, everybody's hot, everybody's sore, everybody's hurting, everybody wants the clock to be this certain way. And to kind of continue to give it and give it up for the team says a lot. And so we've been fighting to get it. Now that we got it, we need that to be us all the time.
Dave, kind of a different question here, but y'all are apparently one of 3 Power 4 schools in the country to have women in director of ops and administrator roles with Joe Vaughn and Landry. How proud of proud of that are you? And then, can you speak to what they bring to the program?
Yeah, I mean, intelligence, thoughtfulness, collective empathy, patience. You know, I think there's going to be like a strong care factor for everyone involved, and the way to kind of, there's personal issues and there's kind of heated firefights going on here and there and everywhere, and they can take the view of seeing it all, and this is what it means, and here's how we're going to move. And I think sometimes guys can get caught up in that particular firefight and lose sight of the whole thing. So I think that's a real strength. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't do what I'm trying to do without them.
Kellen Reed has seen his role increase over the last couple of games. What's impressed you most about kind of how he's embraced this opportunity now that he's getting more snaps?
Learning, man. He's a learner. You wish that to learn something would be kind of classy and cool and beautiful, but a lot of times it's ugly, and I so wish it wasn't. Kylan, prideful dude, and I know he wishes it wasn't, same way. But when you learn something, you go through something, and you to make mistakes. I think that first game he had was a rough game for him, and to kind of lose a spot, and then to kind of go right back to work, and now to gain it back through what he's done and the injuries that have occurred. But there's not like one complaint. There's not one whine or no, hey, why am I in this position? There was just kind of get to work and get better, and that is just so cool, and that is rare. I wish that wasn't rare, but that's rare, and so it's way cool. It makes me want to work harder for him.
Dave, what did Kansas State do especially well, getting that win Saturday?
They ran the quarterback. I think it was intentional. I think there was probably some intentional play prior to that of trying to keep the quarterback out of the fray and be a passer. And I think there was, hey, we've got this guy, he's really fast, we're going to run him. So that showed up quite a bit in this last game. They have another quarterback that they put in there. They had two quarterbacks at the same time. And it was kind of a bone, three guys in the backfield, two quarterbacks or two of the three, and they're running kind of wildcat plays. And I think that gave them a spark. I think they were looking for a spark, and they were able to get it in the run game. I think their running back's back, and obviously he can create sparks all over the place. And so, I think their ability to kind of collect, pressures and stunts and with their O-line and kind of get a surge going, and then they've got guys, if there's a seam, can take it. And so they're trying to get the receivers healthy, and so we'll see what ends up happening that way, but the run game certainly got going.
Just how big of a key is it going to be to slow down that quarterback run game and kind of, I guess, try your best to make Avery Johnson one-dimensional?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. He's someone, speaking of Kylan and just the learning and going through all the things, he's done that too. And you could see he's improved with every game that he's played this year. They've improved, and it really speaks highly of Coach Kleiman just to see from where they started to where they are now. The tape, when you watch the games kind of in that order, they're a much improved team. And so, there's throws, just from playing them here coming up that you wish he wasn't making. You wish he didn't see the coverage tilt, and you wish he didn't ID it and throw it right where it needs to be. But he's doing that. So he's a better thrower than you want him to be. And so he's a challenge, be a challenge for us.
Defensively, after 5 games of the season, have you, simplified things, or has your outlook changed? Has anything shifted for you and your kind of thinking on the defense through 5 games?
I really thought going into this last game that this was going to be an opportunity for us to play our best game, and just so disappointing that first half. I thought, whether it was the second half of SMU or it was the Samford game or it was the majority of the Arizona State game, you could see there's an improvement here, there's growth here. This play we didn't make, first week, and now we're making it, and now we're getting some momentum, some traction, and the only things that players and coaches and maybe their moms would notice or care about, And so we have to be able to really kind of put 4 quarters together to get it to where we're on the other side of this. And obviously we failed, horribly to do that. And so we're right back at it again, I think whether it's the gadget plays, the double passes, these things, very similar to some of the stuff with SMU and just all of it. Like, we have to get better at that, and so we'll continue to work at it. The guys are very committed to improving, and so we need to get over the hump, and I feel like we will.
You've mentioned Bryson's physicality when he's running. Just how much of a tone setter can kind of that be for the entire team when they see a guy like him, running through people?
Very much so. I think that's been missing. That's been missing up until really, you could probably say these last 2 games, but particularly this last one. I think there's an identity piece. When you don't have that, then I think there's kind of a hole in the middle of what is your identity. But when you have that, and the guys are, we've got receivers that are taking DBs and putting them into the ground on the sideline. And when you have all of that, right, the identity jumps off the screen. So it's good to have.
Dave Caldra, I think that's how it's pronounced. He made his first start. Had he shown stuff in practice, or what gave him that start, I guess?
He is somebody that there's a chip on his shoulder. There is a real strong work ethic. He wants to get better. He wants to prove people wrong. When we were watching film of him in the recruitment process, that was the thing that we saw was, maybe undersized, but this dude fights, and he's not going to take it, and he's going to kind of push back and fight back and compete, and he's going to challenge everybody. And so we needed that energy and that attitude in that room, and so he's been able to deliver that, and then for him to get on the field and have some accomplishments there are really cool to see. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better the more he gets his footing and the defenses and the calls and all the things. So I'm excited about him. He's going to be a good player for us.
The offensive line had some big penalties against Oklahoma State. Do you need to see more from them,
Yes.
consistency-wise or anything? And then also, how is Omar?
Yeah. Omar's he's fighting through it right now. I don't know if we're going to have Omar. We'll see. I think he's kind of tightened up right now, so we'll see how that goes. But the majority of the penalties are at the end of the game, and so it's one of those things where, man, it's hot, you're tired, it's sore, like it doesn't matter, and so that's something I think we're still trying to wrap our minds around.
So would Colton still
Yes.
go to right guard?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that same grouping that we had. Yeah.
Kansas State, pretty, unique offensive style, and I think it was after the game you talked about kind of how every week in the Big 12 was having to be pretty game plan specific. Just can you talk on kind of how difficult that is, I guess, when there's such a wide variance in offensive schemes in the conference?
Yeah, their identity is pretty well set. They'll play with a bunch of tight ends, and you'll have 3-4-man surfaces, and they'll pull linemen, and they'll crack on the perimeter, and from the inside out, load from the inside to the outside, so they'll create a seam right there. And they do a good job of that. And then from those splits and those formations that allow them to crack and load, then they'll run rail routes and shot plays, and so they'll run, shot play, run, take the top off, and so it's difficult to defend. I think there's teams that have certainly tried setting edges and pressuring and blitzing, and their O-line does a good job of identifying stuff and picking stuff up. And so, Matt Wells is over there. I have a lot of respect for Matt. I've coached with Matt. Matt's daughter works for us here at Baylor, and so a lot of respect and love for his family. And so it's going to be a challenge with Matt. He's good at what he does.
Dave, I don't think I saw Lewis Brown play Saturday, and he's not on the depth chart.
Yes.
Is there an issue with him? Or?
He is going to redshirt this year. I think with some of the depth that we have at receiver, it's probably the best for all people involved in this. That he does that, and so I think there's been the emergence of a couple other guys at receiver that really have kind of allowed us to find this space. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.